Motherhood is such an incredible purpose in and of itself. It is the main purpose, right? It is, to be able to create life and to be able to, nurture and to raise a child. There is no greater purpose, but it wasn't enough for me. And I feel like there's such a stigma around that I talk about it a lot more often because I want there not to be a stigma around that. I think there's so much shame when women feel embarrassed about, saying things like that, like being a mom isn't enough.
My next guest is the definition of betting on yourself. She started with a degree in clinical psychology specialized in addiction treatment. After having 2 kids, becoming a stay-at-home mom, struggling financially, feeling stuck and unfulfilled, she decided to make a change. In 2020, with no experience, no resources, and no plan, in the heart of COVID, she started over and made a drastic decision some would consider insane. Fast forward to today, she has single-handedly disrupted the hair extension industry that reshaped the way the keratin bond method is taught, approached and regarded nationally. She works with celebrities and influencers and built a hair extension framework centered around the safe extension applications, promoting healthy hair while wearing the extensions. She now focused on guiding other stylists into converting their clientele to premium keratin hair extension services, having them produce 20,000 to 50,000 per month solely with keratin hair applications. She went all in on an extremely niche sector of the hair extension industry with no visibility and no plan. This episode is about risk, reinvention, and what happens when you refuse to stay stuck. Ester Yuabova, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Before hair, you studied to obtain an advanced degree and a clinical license working as a substance abuse specialist. What did your life actually look like?
So when I was working in the field, I was doing field work, which meant that I was going to see a caseload of patients who were so mentally unwell that they couldn't come to treatment. So I had to go see them in their facilities, in shelters, and I think I've been to prison. Yeah. So it was, at that same time, I found out that I was pregnant and I was in the projects of Brooklyn. I was going all around where I was localized was in Brooklyn. So I was going to a lot of Section 8 housing. I was going to a lot of shelters and a lot of mental institutions to see all of these people who were struggling with addiction, also very seriously with their mental health, because a lot of the times that they overlap. So it was, I want to say that it was a very fulfilling job, but I never realized that I couldn't actually do what I was taught, or I couldn't actually operate on my own volition because of all of the bureaucracy involved. You couldn't really do the things that you wanted to do. You couldn't really help people because the system is so inherently broken.
Why did you leave the field?
So I didn't really have a choice. I was, even with my master's degree and my license that took, 2,000 hours to obtain, I think I was getting paid under the psychiatrist, the highest in the team. And I was making $55,000 a year. And I didn't really have a lot of room to grow in that field. And I had already taken out so many loans to get there that if I wanted to advance my education even further and pursue a doctorate degree, that would be even more loans. And, again, the visibility of what that looked like in terms of, growth potential and earning potential was very low. So I couldn't afford a nanny. And I think I got the job not kind of lying to them that I was pregnant to begin with. And, because I just needed to work. And, I was so nervous. I was so scared that I was going to come home with bed bugs and with because I was going to the really, really, really unsanitary places. And yeah, it was, I was just going through the motions, and then I kind of didn't have a choice. I had to leave work, and I became a stay-at-home mom.
Wow. What did starting over look like financially and emotionally?
So, starting over at 30 with 2 under 2, I think in the height of COVID, I was pregnant with my second one, and I was like, what am I going to do? And I was feeling really lost. I think I spent a really large portion of my life feeling lost, and feeling really stuck, not knowing what I was going to do with myself, not knowing where my purpose was. And that really took a very serious toll on me. I don't know if it was postpartum, I don't know if it was the hormones, but I was really down and out. I was not loving the stay at home. Every day felt like Groundhog Day. Everything was, it felt bleak. And, starting over when you're doing something that you have no training in, that you have no experience in, that you have no mentorship for, that you are kind of pursuing alone, there's a lot of fear. I felt a lot of fear. Financially, I was broke. So I didn't really even have anything to invest. It was just me. And I was, I can't even tell you that I had a plan. I had no plan. I just did.
So you just went all in,
Yeah, I went all in. I sat down as if I was going to have like a business, as if I was going to pitch to my husband. And I said, I think I want to do hair extensions. And he said, okay, tell me more. And then I had to pitch him this whole thing about going back to school and getting a cosmetology license and doing this thing. And I didn't have the opportunity to go to a salon and learn under a stylist and get that experience that you would have in person. I had there was no walk-in potential either. So I didn't really, I really had no foresight on what my life was going to look like. I was nursing and breastfeeding, and I had to make sure that I was could take people in my home. So I had to figure out, how do I get people in my home, and how can I step out while I'm working so that I can nurse?
You were very overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed, I don't even think is the correct word. I think that I was just trying to find something. I was trying to find something that gave me a purpose.
Like you felt lost, right?
I felt so lost, and it's such a devastating thing to say, because motherhood is such an incredible purpose in and of itself. It is the main purpose, right? It is, to be able to create life, and to be able to nurture and to raise a child. There is no greater purpose. But it wasn't enough for me. And I feel like there's such a stigma around that I talk about it a lot more often, because I want there not to be a stigma around that. I think there's so much shame when women feel embarrassed about, saying things like that, like being a mom isn't enough.
I mean, in my opinion, I think being a mom is everything, no? Look, obviously, but it just
okay,
it drives you,
not the opposite coming from you, but okay.
It drives you to, it gives you basically a motivational push, I mean, if it wasn't for your kids, you probably wouldn't be doing this.
100%. Yeah. That I can agree with. I don't know what the hell happened, but the second I had my second child, it was as if they say that with every child you have a certain level of mazal, right?
Like a blessing,
of luck that this child gives you. Somehow having these two little dumplings of children that looked to me for life and guidance and to keep them alive, I felt like I needed to be something for them. And they gave me so much purpose, which I can, again, tell you that my 20s, I had never had that kind of drive. And somehow, when I was 30, I was oh my God, am I really going to start over from scratch right now? I've got $100K in loans. I'm in the hole. I have no money. And my husband is telling me that I need to do something to we need to bring in some income. I don't have any prospects. I don't know what I'm doing here. And I also, and it's also, I just felt holy shit. And yes, having kids I think it was a big turning point for me.
Were you scared of failing or staying stuck?
Oh, staying stuck. I think that failure for me, I embrace failure. I think that failure and success, Alex Hormozi said it best, that success and failure, they're like salt and pepper. They're married. You have to fail. And I agree. You have to fail as many times as possible. Get all of the failures out of the way, because that's the only way that you learn.
Failure is part of the process. Yeah.
And it's the most important part of the process. I think that from the failures is how it was the way that I was able to learn, and how I was able to, pioneer this whole side of what I do that no one did. And that's because I initially thought that it was going to be like my biggest downfall, the fact that I didn't have the experience that I needed, that I didn't have the mentorship that I needed, that I didn't have like the typical experience that people go through. They go work in a salon, they start assisting, they do the color and cuts. I didn't have any of that. And because I didn't have any of that, my thought process was very, very, very unique and singular to me. So I wasn't limited by all of the different rhetoric or all of the different teachings that everyone else had. People, I think, in the industry, they accept certain truths that I don't think are actually truths, right? They just don't question it. It's like, oh, okay, so this is objectively the fact, and that's that. But I didn't have that. So I was able to think in a different way. And that was the greatest blessing. I think that all of my circumstances, regardless of how like bleak they were at the time, because if you looked at me back then, like, dude, I was having clients come in, and I had gotten my cosmetology license in COVID. I wasn't able to learn anything because it was like mostly virtual.
Yeah.
So I didn't know anything. I actually had no experience. I didn't know anything. And you don't have that hands-on. And I had a spare bedroom that I turned into a studio where my daughter slept during naps.
Wow.
And I had to I'm telling you, like, I think about it now and I'm like, I can't believe that was 5 years ago. You know what I mean?
Time flies. I mean, did anybody ever openly tell you that this was a bad idea?
Well,
I'm sure there was a lot.
I come from a very traditional background, right? We're from the same place,
of course,
right?
Yeah.
So I'm an immigrant. My children are first generation American. I came to this country as a refugee with my family at the age of 5. And so, learning English here, my parents really wanted stability for me. They really pushed, go get an education, become a doctor, do something that is stable. Or they wanted me to do something like speech pathology was like the rage. Do that because it's great for moms. You can make a decent living, and then you can also be home in time to make dinner and to raise the kids, and do all, like, gender roles are a big thing in like a very traditional subservient style community that I think that we come from. It's like very old school. And my parents, my family, they really struggled with me ditching a master's degree, a license, and pursuing something that they didn't really find
because that
prestigious.
Because that was their own at the time. That was their own way of, being successful, getting a degree, going to college,
Of course, so much has changed in the last, 5 years, less than 5 years, 2 years, where entrepreneurship has really changed the game for everyone. But at the end of the day, they had their own perception, as everyone did. Like, what is a hairstylist? Like, what do you do? And they thought that I'd be doing, like $20 blowouts, and like, and that's the thought process, right? Like, there is there was very little of that visibility of like, okay, here are these people that, kind of dropped what they were doing, even though it was education, and started doing something freelance and made something of themselves. There are several of them in the community, like Rada did it first, and so we were all like, I feel like I remember when I sat down, I was pitching this, and I was like, but what about Rada? Like, she did that. She's got a degree, makeup by Rada. Like, she's doing a thing. And let's, if she's successful, she made her own rules. Like, why can't I make my own rules? My family, like, they struggled with it. They struggled with it because they didn't see it. They didn't see it. They didn't see, like, past that point, and I saw it. Even though I couldn't even verbalize it too much, but I was like, I see that there's something here that I could build on.
So you basically, you yourself, and you only believed in yourself that you could do it. I mean, besides your husband, right? Like,
Well, I think that it wasn't really, there was nothing viable there. Like, it was half baked, most of it. But I think that the one thing that I really appreciated from my husband was when I was telling him, like, oh, it'll be like a side hustle. And he said, no. Mm-hmm. He said, if you're going to do it, he said, go all in and give it everything. And he's like, because your little side hustles, this and that, and putting half of your energy here and half of your energy there, it's not going to work. And so it was because of that he didn't look at me in a way, or he didn't think it was something to be ashamed of. And I think that even I had a feeling of shame when it came to doing something like this, like a trade versus like a professional field, and it's again just like the way that you're raised and those thoughts that you have where you think this is good, this is not good, this is below you, and this is where you should go. And it's just perception. It's all about how we're being perceived. That was the thing that I struggled with even for myself. And he didn't have any of that, and that helped me because I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be ashamed. Like, why am I feeling this negativity towards pursuing something that is the beauty industry,
Yeah. So basically going back to your kids and your husband, how do you just manage being an entrepreneur and also handling with kids at home, like 2 full-time jobs?
The work-life balance question. I feel so warm. I feel like, this is going to require me to take off.
Work-life balance.
Work-life balance. Anyone who says that they have achieved a level of work-life balance as an entrepreneur is full of shit. There is no such thing as work-life balance to me. I don't think it exists. As an entrepreneur who really, really cares so much about her business and about growing the business, I am so focused and so dedicated to what I do that when I'm excelling in one aspect of my life, the other aspect of my life is inevitably on fire. Like, I am completely just blowing that off because there is no balance of something that you are so infatuated and obsessed with and you are so focused on that you can't give something else your full attention. And so I think that it is reckless to pitch a work-life balance possibility. You can have it all, but not at the same time, right? Like, it's what they say. So it's, whenever I'm hanging out with my family and whenever I'm spending time with my kids, I am not focusing on social media, on posting, on focusing on my systems and my processing and my operations. Like, I'm not doing that.
Full concentration mode. Like
it has to be, because like otherwise you're just hanging out with your family, and like I've been there, right? Where I'm like hanging out with my kids, but I'm editing on my phone. Yeah. And it's like, that's not what you want. Or like you're working and then you miss dinner and you miss bath time. And you miss things, and there's so much grief and guilt there because you really don't want that to be the rest of your life. You don't want that to be your life. But what do you do when you feel like you're building something, when you're working on something, when you want to grow, and when you feel like there's that only you can do this, and there's so much momentum. It's so difficult, and so I don't believe in work-life balance. I don't believe in it. It's nonsense.
I agree.
You do?
Sometimes, listen, it gets difficult, especially with when you're fully concentrated in your work. You can't afford to have any distractions, especially if you're trying to keep up with their name, keep up with your services, and like once I lose my straight of thought, I lose my focus, that's it, I'm out. I can't,
I'm distracted all the time, I want to say, because as a mom and as a woman, there are so many things that I have to think about all the time is not just the business. You know what I mean? I have to think about doctor's appointments. I have to think about kids getting their teeth cleaning. I have to think about I have to think about dinner. These things are still, I still need to make sure that my family is fed, but I want my kids to see me work. I want them to see what a powerful woman is. I want them to grow up knowing that they have these opportunities. I want them to see that. I want them to see a working mom, and a mom who is helping not only other women feel beautiful, but also helping other professionals find their own financial freedom and retire their husbands, and do these things, like do like bad bitch shit. You know what I mean?
Well said.
Like that I want my girls to see that. I want my girls to embody that. I want my girls to to have that model of of a mom that they can be excited about and proud of and want to look up to. And that was my fear before, because I didn't have that, because I felt so stuck. I didn't know who I was. And if I didn't know who I was, how was I going to raise strong, independent daughters?
This is what you call not a 50-50 marriage, 100% marriage. Like 100.
Yeah, it is.
You put in both the work. Both you put in the work. That's good.
It's because I've been married for over 10 years.
There you go. So aside from family, now let's move on to very special people that have been in your chair. So what changed in your pricing, positioning, or client experience that created demand?
So the demand really came from, I really wanted to focus really highly on a client experience. So once I opened my salon in 2022, I really wanted to focus in on a high level of a client experience. Have you ever been to like a really busy salon and you're like immediately overstimulated?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I always remember like hating going to a salon. The air dry, the blow dryers.
Yeah, the blow dryers, a lot of them.
Everyone's screaming. There's it's uncomfortable. There's nowhere really to, like, you're kind of pushed around. Go here, sit here, sit here. And it's like you feel like you're on a conveyor belt.
Yeah.
So for me, I stopped focusing on volume. I really started focusing on curated client experiences. Exclusivity. I was also, obviously, the work that I was providing was highly sought after because no one did it. Mm-hmm. So, once I was starting to provide like really, really cool transformations and doing a lot of fun things with texture and making women feel and look, really great, it really kind of the word spread. And so I really wanted to make the client feel, especially because it's a long time that they're sitting in the chair, that you want them to feel comfortable, that you don't want them to feel like, oh my God, I've been sitting for so long, I'm like uncomfortable, I want to, you make sure that they have like a really nice experience. Some people now work from home, so they're able to take calls, they're able to get on their little Zoom meetings and team meetings and stuff like that. They can binge whatever they want. They have like curated beverages, cocktails, snacks. I'm working on getting a masseuse to come. Yeah, wow. Like you really want to provide like something where people are excited to come and to sit in the chair, like, and have it be like a real self-care day, especially when something takes hours, Make sure they're fed. Like, all these things are important.
Especially if they're in their chair and they want to talk about their day, like you have to also be their therapist and talk to them. Right? Like, well,
what the thing is that like you start really being with people for I'm really lucky is that like I have a lot of return, like I have a lot of return clientele. Mm-hmm. I have been with a lot of my clients through a lot of major events and major changes in their lives, from getting married to job promotions to having children to like all of these things, buying their homes. You feel like you kind of evolve together, and because you're spending so much time with them that like it ends, you do end up, creating a strong bond. But yeah.
Speaking of bonds, who was the first celebrity client that you had?
Oh my God. The first celebrity client was still in my apartment. She wasn't a celebrity, but she was an influencer. Mm-hmm. Chriselle Lim. Do you know Fleur, the perfume?
Okay, the perfume, yeah.
She's the founder of that. So before that, she grew a huge social media following from like, I think, Rich Mom? I think that was her IG or something like that, or in TikTok, where she was just like, doing rich mom shit, I guess. I don't know. It was such a long time ago, but she was in New York for Fashion Week and she like slid into my DMs. She came to my apartment. I kicked my husband and the children out. She came on a weekend, which I don't really work. Again, I was like, Ilya, I need you to get out of this house.
This is the opportunity. This is what I need. Right?
Yeah, it was like, and that's the thing. He was like, all right, I'll make it happen. Like he took the kids for the day, and I was able to do, like she had this really blunt bob, and I was like, oh my God, I was so nervous. But she was awesome, and she came and she hung out in my, in my studio, the studio room that I had set up for my clients, and that was like the very first one that really had me feeling like, holy hell, damn.
You were flabbergasted on who the hell I have in my chair.
Yeah, I it's like, it's so hard because when you think about going to someone's home for like a service, it's weird, right? Like you're just like, oh, I don't know, doing, like you're like, it's like you're kind of encroaching on someone's personal space. But I think that was the very first time, and I was like, holy shit, this is something. Like this is something. And I think that I like that I got a high from that for like a while. Yeah.
So from that point on, after she shared you on her IG, did you start to get more influencers, celebrities?
Yeah, I don't know if it was because she shared it, but I think that it was more so like the work just naturally kind of like spread. Right. And so, when you're working with celebrities and influencers, I don't think that you change the type of work that you put out. What really changes is just your credibility. And it's just all about perception. You're just seen as someone who's more credible. I just don't think that it really would have mattered. I don't think that that was so much my goal. I love working with whoever. I treat everyone kind of the same, like I'm the same. What you see is what you get. Truly. It's, I don't have the wherewithal to have like a different persona for different people.
So once you had financial freedom within reach through your own work behind the chair, what compelled you to essentially start over again and shift into teaching masterclasses?
That's a good question because truly, if I was sane, I would have just lived like a peaceful person and, kind of enjoyed my time with my kids and just, provided the service. However, I learned very quickly as, when I started my career, I started seeing how seriously like my body was getting affected with doing something so strenuous all day, every day. And this was before I learned that I shouldn't be doing it 5 days a week.
You should be doing it 6 days a week? 7?
No. You should not be. You should be raising the prices and doing it less days a week so that you make the same, if not more money, and then easier. Like, again, I was pricing myself so low because I was working from home and because I didn't really understand how things were meant to be priced. I didn't have any help or mentorship, that I was doing a hair extension application transformation every single day, Monday through Friday. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have any assistance. And my hands were cramping and hurting. My back was hurting. Everything really hurt and ached all the time. And that was when I learned that like a career as a hairstylist is akin to, I would say, like an athletic career, right? Like, do you watch sports?
Yeah, I watch sports. Power slap.
What is that? People slap each other?
Yeah.
What?
It's a sport, yeah.
What are you, like a sadist? What a sport is that?
It's entertaining. I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, I bet.
They slap
I'm learning a lot about you, Leon. So, I was going to say something like football. Like, how long is a football career?
Very long.
Is it really?
I'd say probably 10, 15 years.
Okay, so that's not that long. Okay.
Because they have enough money to retire.
Correct. There's the moment, right? 10 years in a career that sets you up for retirement for the rest of your life. That is something that hairstylists don't have. Except what they do is so extremely hard on the body and is absolutely just so abusive that there are hairstylists that are working for 10 years and then they have arthritis, osteoporosis, like tendonitis, back pain. Their spine starts to shift, their shoulders, they get torsion in their shoulders, like all of this stuff. It's because of like when you elevate your arms above your heart, all of these things on a regular basis, they can lead to very severe complications, and you do not get paid to retire. Like, you do not make enough to retire as a regular hairstylist.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. That's what I realized, is that like I saw a path to help other people and to empower other professionals and stylists to be able to find their financial freedom by only servicing one client per day versus the usual 10 to 12 clients per day.
Yes.
So people like, and people looked at me like I was crazy. People really looked at me like I was crazy, and now they get it. The ones who get it, because when you're doing like, and a lot of people they used to say like, oh, I really like the energy, the back to back, and I'm like, don't you go home and just feel like you have had the life drained out of you by all of the energy that you're constantly parsing out to everyone who's sitting in your chair, double booking, doing all of these constant services that are not even paying you that much. So you're coming home at the end of the day with what? $500 maybe, if that clean, after you have to pay out and tip out and whatnot, like for what? Or maybe more, maybe $1,000 at the most. If you're making $1,000, you're doing pretty good, but you're working 12-hour days, you're not even getting lunch. And people used to laugh about this toxic work environment. They used to think that it was like, they used to make little skits about it, about like, oh, me having lunch, me as a hairstylist surviving on the iced coffee and the 2 bites that they get in between their processing. And they're working with heavy chemicals. And they're also trying to have children, how all of this like can really affect your well-being in your life. So I really saw a way out of that, right? Like I felt I started treating this field of a hair extension application like I'm a ballerina. I have this career that's this many years until I am too old and too frail to be doing pirouettes and to be doing all of these things, where I am now going to age out of being, you know, what is it, like vivacious in this specialty, you know, when all of my aches and pains are going to make me so miserable. So I said, okay, how do I do it so that I can figure out how to have a retirement plan, be able to invest in my retirement, work with fewer clients per day, save my energy,
financial freedom.
save my body, and help others and myself get to financial freedom. Mm-hmm. That's why I started educating.
Financial freedom, that's the right way to do it.
Oh, is it?
It is. No, listen, everybody's going through financial freedom, you know.
Everybody wants of course everyone wants financial freedom.
Some people don't like care about financial freedom. They're just comfortable to stay where they are. They like to stay broke. They like to, you know, typical 9 to 5. Don't mean to shit on anybody, but I'm just saying.
I think that that's not really true. I think that there are people out there who want extraordinary lives. And I think that there are other people out there who are okay with us with a simpler life. And I think that that's also fine. I don't think that it's that they don't want the financial freedom. I just think that there are people out there that really thrive on going to work, not having to bring home. Can you imagine? Like, I can't imagine what that's like, coming home and not thinking about work until the next day. I don't know what that's like, but there are people who have that. They're able to clock out, you know, whatever, like, they're able to clock out, they're able to go home, they're able to have social lives, they're able to have their hobbies, and they're able to go back to work the next day. They don't need more, right? They don't need more for themselves. Some people really can't live like that.
Some people are grateful, I guess, for what they have, you know, but some people just want more than what they have.
I think that gratitude is something that should be implicit. I think that gratitude, I always say, like, I'm grateful for everything I have, and I'm grateful for everything I don't have. So gratitude is implicit no matter where you are in life, but I think that there are some people truly that don't want the moon and the stars and everything. You know, they don't want all of that. And I think that they're important, you know, because they give you a baseline of like where other people are. Do I want to be there too? You know, or do I want more?
Let's go on to your techniques. So please explain to us, what is the keratin extension bonds that you do? Why is it so special? What makes it stand out? And obviously hairdressers don't really do that. So please explain to me what that is.
So before, it wasn't really done because it wasn't really like a salon service, because it took so long to apply. Right. So it was seen as like the most damaging method that you could do. And that's because no one understood how to do it correctly. And when I started kind of playing around, and when I was, you know, thinking about what I wanted to, like, did I want to niche down, what I want to do, I was doing like the tape-ins, the wefts, all this nonsense. And it's not nonsense, but not to shit on anyone else's livelihood. But I was thinking about like what I wanted to do. It was the keratin bonds, which is the strand by strand, which is that gave me the most that gave me the most excitement, that gave me the biggest high, is because like there was such an aspect of artistry to it that like you never saw. It went really far beyond like a lengthened experience. I started playing with textures. I started playing with colors. I started being able to do things that you couldn't do chemically. Because again, when I started doing this, I was doing it from home, and I didn't have an environment where I could do color services or this or that. So I was like, how can I do this with the extensions? And then what I started to notice was that the clients were coming back and their hair was thicker, longer. And then I was like, oh, wait, is there a correlation to a keratin bond application letting your hair rest and it kind of being like something that you could just like leave, like wash and go and, you know, live your daily life? And that was it. I started showing those receipts of like, hey, look, it doesn't damage your hair. You just have to learn how to do it correctly. And that's the problem, is that no one really like stopped to really try to learn it, because in a salon, you kind of have to do 20 things, right? You have to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
And you can't master any of them because you have to focus on so many different things. And again, I was focused on the one thing. So I decided to make myself the best at it. So I learned everything that I could. I started sourcing my own hair, which no one did. I couldn't afford the mainstream education. So I was like, let me, you know, I can't even tell you the nights, 4 a.m., 5 a.m. I was just obsessed over it. I was dreaming about it.
Passionate about it.
It ended up being, I do feel like I am very passionate about it. I am very passionate about it, but I don't think that you have to be passionate about what you do. I don't think so. I think that if you're able to earn yourself some financial freedom, I think that passion is irrelevant. I think that passion can actually hinder your process, because when you're really passionate about something and it doesn't work for you or it doesn't work out the way you thought it would, you're just so much more likely to give up on it. And so I don't really like teach or even like stand behind like, be passionate about this. Like, some people are not passionate about it, but it'll really make you money and it's so in demand. So do it and get good at it, and then buy your passion somewhere else down the line. You know, like let it buy your freedom so that you can buy your passion. Or whatever it is, like whatever the hell, like if you want to build model houses, or if you want to do Legos, or if you like to collect things, like have your hobby, buy your freedom so that you can have your passion on the side. I don't think that passion is the thing.
Wow.
I thought it was initially, but I've changed my mind. I don't no longer believe that.
I mean, I'm passionate about this, but don't really see a good financial freedom standpoint to it. So it's something to think about.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. This market is very competitive.
That's true.
You know, especially with AI integration and everything, and it's making our job much more difficult. Especially we're competing with amateurs. Like, for example, let's say a customer, like let's say a random customer that wants to go get a blowout or something, right? And a customer asks you, how much is this going to cost? And you, let's say, I'll just throw out a number, $1,000, let's just say, right? And they're like, oh no, I know somebody that could do it for cheaper. Then we compete with amateurs, and they go to somebody cheaper, and then they get what they pay for. You know?
So this is because this relates from business to business, right? Whatever you're saying right now.
Yeah.
We're all talking about how saturated is the market and what it is that you're providing. You're talking about providing a type of service that you could find elsewhere, right?
Easily,
for a different price point. The difference is, I think, is that you haven't honed down into what it is that makes you not like the others.
Yeah, different.
Right? And the thing that I think that is that will always outshine every other AI is the aspect of storytelling, which applies into every single business. We all learn, we all want to be told a story. We all want to learn from a story, and to be able to tell a story is such a skill and something that can really transcend this or that, or, you know, pricing for this one over that one. You're providing something else. You're solving a different problem, and being able to get that message across in the way that you present yourself, in the way that you narrate, and the way that you and the kind of the position of authority you are versus someone else. That's the difference. I think that sometimes we're so focused, sometimes we look around too much. That's something that I've learned. I'm a horse with these.
Yeah.
I don't want to know what anyone says about me. That's none of my business. I don't pay attention to what other people are doing. I focus on what my goals are, and I focus on my business, and I wish everybody well, but I am not involved in what anyone else is doing. If you are not going to value the service that I provide, then you will never, then I'm not the correct provider for you. I'm not the correct educator for you, and that applies for you. If they don't value the work that you're putting out solely because of monetary restriction, that is not your ideal client.
Yeah, but for some reason, it's like a magnet. They all come to me.
And you're client facing. That's why it's difficult, is because you're the one that always has to deal with, and they feel comfortable telling you how they feel about your pricing.
Yeah.
That's not fun. Hey, listen, we're all in the same kind of industry, right? I also provide a service that a lot of people have told me that I was crazy with the kind of prices that I was charging. That I have many a time been, people have tried to negotiate, just didn't value. There are certain people that don't value what it is that you do. Right? Because they don't see how you're going to solve their problem. They don't have that problem. It's not deep enough. It doesn't hurt enough for them. Yeah. But there are some people that really do feel that what it is that you're doing is creating so many more solutions for them. And that is more invaluable than it is something that you're paying attention to financially. You know what I mean? Because what is it actually worth? What is quality of life worth?
So speaking of teaching, you have 2 upcoming classes to teach the HBE method. What is the method, and why does it require 2 hands-on classes to teach this method?
So the HBE method I've kind of structured because the method of extensions that I do is actually so vast. It's something that I think is, or in my opinion, not something that you can really teach in 2 days or learn in 2 days. So my goal was to create a level of support for a stylist who wants to get into this and wants to either convert their existing clientele, or is just coming out of cosmetology school, or is, thinking about repositioning themselves in their careers, and to give them a level of support where they get a foundational education virtually, and then they come to the hands-on, which teaches them, how to troubleshoot, apply, and, how to grow their business. Mm-hmm. And then the second course is the artistry course, in which they learn about how to work with the product and single donor hair, and how to blend textures together, how to manipulate, color and texture, and how to make the most of your inventory, and all of these things. And the second course is actually the first of its kind on the market right now. It doesn't exist. And it's something that I felt so strongly about, and that I, as I started learning about it, and as I started to tinker and, play with all of these things, I realized that no one is doing it. Mm-hmm. And no one really understands how to do it, because, of course, I also invested a lot in the learning process of it. I am always and will always be a student. I love to learn. If you can't tell, I love to learn so much. I love to I wish I could learn about everything all the time.
You want to be like a jack of all trades?
No, I don't want to be a jack of all trades, but I do want to learn about the world, and I want to absorb as much knowledge as possible. For me, knowledge has always been power, and it will always be. So that's something that I also want to teach in these classes. That, back to your question, sorry. See, I get distracted. I get so distracted.
When is your classes, by the way?
Oh, so there are 2 classes. The first one, so the HBE method is split up into 2 parts. The first one is the blueprint, which is the foundational course, and that's in April. It's a 2-day hands-on in New York City. And then the second one, which is the artistry course, which is the second part, and that's in July of 2026. In the city, 2 days as well. So the whole point of it was that you get prepped before, you have hands-on during, and also includes business and strategies, and then you're also supported after. So you get a lot of resources that can reinforce all of this information. And I don't know if you've ever been in a class. As someone who's taken many a master class, you start feeling drained. right? It's like this metabolic like stress of like learning so many things that by the time you come home, you're like, what did I learn? You forget everything almost, you know, because it's like so much. And that was something that like was really hard for me when I was learning, that I felt like, do I need to film the whole thing? Do I need to be present? And then you feel like you were trying to do both at the same time. And, you know, to be able to mitigate that, it's like all about, you know, it's all about a different aspect of the hair industry, which is, you know, building community, working with integrity. And it's like community over competition is something that I am very, you know, that's very important to me. God, it is hot in here.
I know. It's about to get even hotter.
Is it?
With Truth or Shot.
Oh, God.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the Truth or Shot round. As you know, if the guest does not wish to answer the question, they take a shot. Are you ready?
Me?
Yeah.
Am I ready?
Yeah.
I guess.
Let's do this. Is the beauty industry more competitive or supportive behind closed doors?
I truly think that the beauty industry, especially the hair industry, it is. I think it's more salacious and competitive than supportive. Honestly,
yeah.
In my opinion, I think that that's not great. I don't love that. I just think that there is a lot of. I think that there's a lot of resentment that a lot of stylists have had from, you know, working behind the chair for 20 plus years, and they feel like the way that they've had to come up and the way that they've had to, you know, pay their dues. And now that they see that there are other styles, especially with social media, where people are doing price transparency and talking about how much they're earning, and a lot of other stylists feel upset or enraged or unhappy about the fact that they don't realize it, that they just think that it's ridiculous or it's crazy or it's outlandish. Yeah. So there's a lot of like hairstylists on hairstylists hate, and they get like on social media, like there's a lot of backlash in the community. And I think that it's mainly because that hairstylists are not coming together to support one another. Just because someone else is winning doesn't take away from your wins, you know, like doesn't mean that you have to lose. So that's something that I think that people aren't really like thinking about enough, you know. They just feel like if they're winning, then like it's not fair that I'm not there in that same position. You know what I mean?
I believe that the beauty industry is more competitive in the sense of, I'd say, the pricing point. They're very competitive. Like if you go to...
Oh, you mean so in terms of like service competition, like as like competitive in terms of pricing?
Yeah, like...
Oh, okay. Like that, like they're all similar priced?
Yeah.
Well, you want that, right? Because you want to put your... I mean, I personally think that, especially with the services that I'm teaching other hairstylists to provide, we want to be around the same-ish, or they should want to be around the same price point, right? Because then it kind of puts us at a place where, okay, you're aware that investing in your hair like this is not going to be such a crazy price discrepancy. If someone is charging $1,000 and someone else is charging $5,000, that's a crazy price discrepancy. That means that now whatever the $5,000 is not being valued enough because there's someone over here being Grouponing it, you know, essentially being like, come here and I'll do it essentially for nothing. And the cost of hair is very expensive. It's a commodity. It's it's a finite product. And so that is something that, like, when you're working with high quality product, you can't, like, it doesn't work, especially with so many hours. You can't just, you know, charge so low. But there are people that do that, and, you know, they undercharge so that they can take the business. Everyone should be, I think, priced at I thought you meant more so in like supportive or, you know, competitive in terms of like to each other.
I mean, listen, you gave both valid points, so.
Do you have experience in the beauty industry?
I kind of do, yeah.
Okay, elaborate. Tell me.
I mean,
you looking for a job?
I mean, I work at weddings a lot. And
that's true. That's true.
So I do communicate with the hairstylists and get a little bit of knowledge about their experience too. So, like, yeah, especially with makeup artists, like, I know like all I know like all the makeup brushes, mascara, blush, foundation, lip gloss, all that stuff. I know everything. So speaking of competitive in pricing, how much did you earn last year? Truth is shot.
Okay, Leanne, bring me the booze. I'm not answering that question.
We got our first one. Today, just the usual Kettle One.
I don't remember the last time I've had vodka.
Oh, yeah?
Are you gonna have a shot?
All right.
Oh my god.
It's okay.
Dude.
It's just
with no lemon.
It's just vodka, yo. Come on.
The worst Russian ever.
Cheers. Here's your lemon. Pretzels.
This is not helping. You really need an acid, my dude. You gotta chew it now? I didn't realize that we're coming out on a podcast and then doing mukbang at the same time. Wow. It's all warm. Do you watch those? I watch mukbangs.
What is mukbangs?
What?
I don't know what that
when
is.
people are eating and you hear what they're doing, the crunch and then
the satisfying videos.
I like watching people eat food.
That is so weird.
I like it when they eat like specifically like crunchy things, ice things, and like Magnum, what is it? Magnum ice cream bars. You know, with the chocolate shell.
Ah, those.
Yeah, or like frozen chocolate. It really does. I don't like to be so outward or so with teaching and educating other stylists. Is the first time in my life that I have ever been so transparent about what I earn and my livelihood. But even still, like, I think that, you know, financial freedom is different for everybody, but I don't really feel like flaunting what I make or material like worship. I like nice things, but I've learned early on that like it doesn't hit a spot that you think it'll hit. You know, you get the bag and you're like, nothing's different. Now I just have to like make sure that my kids don't draw all over it, you know, or, you know, that I don't spill something in it. It's just like you have to be more wary of like keeping things preserved because they're so expensive.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really change the thing that you think it will. For, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe if I get a Bentley, it'll change something. I don't know. I mean, not like I don't really care about cars too. Like that's another thing. Like I walk. I like to walk. I like my legs to take me places. I'm very active. So like I need a car now, and I'm just like, what do I get? Do I care?
Just get something with an engine and 4 wheels. That's it.
There you go. There you go.
Next question. Have you ever felt resentment towards clients who wanted to negotiate on pricing?
There will always be a client who is going to ask if you can work the deal out for them or if you can give it to them for cheaper. But the truth of the matter is that you need to understand the value that you provide and that you bring to the table. And if they are someone who doesn't value that and wants to get it for less, then they're not going to ever appreciate, you know, it's like the type of client who like negotiates and they will make you work for every single last dollar. So I don't resent anyone. I'm very honest and open about, you know, this is what my work is worth, and if I'm not for you, then I'm not for you. You know?
Okay. All right.
It's not personal.
All right. So maybe this can be something very personal. What's the most scandalous thing a celebrity has ever told you in your chair?
Oh my God. Bring the vodka again. I'm not going to talk about it because a hairstylist is like, they say it's like you're like a therapist.
Yeah.
You're also like a vault. You have to keep the secrets.
Yeah.
I'm not going to run my mouth. Oh my God.
All right. Cheers.
Na zdrowie.
Na zdrowie.
Oh God. The pretzels were a bad idea, Leon.
Yeah. They made it worse.
Like a pickle could have been fine.
I ran out of pickles.
This just makes it stay in your mouth longer. God, that crunch is probably crazy when you hear it back.
Oh, yeah. Okay. If everything disappeared tomorrow, followers, clients, money, who would you still be?
That's a really good question. I think throughout the entire journey of like my entrepreneurship has really taught me first of all, that I can start over. And second of all, the importance of finding purpose. That's all I really needed. I don't think that it was specific to doing hair or hair extensions or anything like that. For me, the one thing that we discussed was feeling so lost and feeling stuck. I felt that way for so long. I went through the motions because I didn't really have a choice. I didn't really know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted to pursue. I did the thing that I was told to do because I didn't have any other suggestions. You know, I didn't really have an experience in the world to be like, okay, I want to do this, or I can see this being a path forward. So for me, I realized that the second I found that little slight light of purpose, of meaning, and of of something that I could hold on to, that was the tether, and I could build off of anything. So for me, it's not about the money, the followers or the clients. I think for me, it was, I learned a lot about who I was and about my level of resilience, about how gritty and hardworking I am, and that if I could start over once, I could start over again. And so that is something that I think is invaluable, that I've learned in this whole journey of building a business from scratch and bootstrapping it with $0 in the bank and loans and debt.
Did you pay back your debt?
Yes. Yeah, okay. I did. That was a 2025 achievement.
Wow.
I paid off my debt.
She paid off everything, guys.
I paid off my debt, which is very exciting, but kind of sad because, again, it was just, it's like you're giving money to nothing because it didn't actually, the license of schooling led to nowhere.
If someone is feeling stuck right now, what would you suggest?
I think you don't have to have everything figured out. Just get a job, any job. And go through, just start moving. It doesn't matter in which direction. You'll find yourself, and there's never a right moment. There's never a perfect time to do anything. So the only thing that you can do is something. So if it's completely irrelevant, just do it. Just find a job, just get up, just go to work every day, get dressed, take a shower, have a routine, and then you can take a different step, a lateral move, or a step in a different direction. I think that's what is so important, and that people are really hyper focused on having the perfect circumstances and the perfect environment to do the perfect thing. And perfection is boring. Perfection is boring, in my opinion. I hate perfection. I never strive towards perfection. I think that perfection is the end. So if you're at perfect, then there's no growth from there.
Well, that's true. Nothing is ever perfect, but we strive to achieve perfection.
Why?
Well, in my field, we strive to achieve perfection.
Do you think that you can actually achieve perfection?
To an extent, yes.
Well, if there's an extent, then it's not perfection.
Close to perfection.
You can say you can strive towards excellence and still be fine, but perfection is, I think, there's nothing artistic. You're doing something super artistic. There's nothing artistic in perfection. I think that perfection, artists are not perfect.
They strive to be perfect.
No, they don't, and they shouldn't, because again, perfection means that you have nothing left to learn. Perfection is the end of the road, and it's also a bore. I hate perfection so much. So I really just rage against that whole notion of being perfect. I think that there is so much interest and so much beauty in the imperfect, and that's where I like to live. Feel me?
Well
he
said.
Doesn't agree, but it's fine. I don't care.
Well said.
Thank you. I don't care if you don't agree.
No, listen. You make solid points. It's like you want there to always be something to go for, to fight for, and that's where I feel like no human could ever achieve perfection in any field, because listen, we're human. That's how the saying goes. We're human. We're not perfect, right? So
we're not that the saying goes because it's all about making mistakes.
Yeah.
But we're talking about evolution. You can evolve, right, from learning, and we're all talking about evolution. You want to evolve as a business owner, as a videographer, as an artist, as a person. You evolve. All of these things that teach you, they evolve, and therefore, when you're going to look back on this moment in a year, in 5 years, you're going to say, that was so funny that I was doing this, that I was doing that I was saying this to Esther, because in reality, what I know now trumps so much of what I knew then. because we know so little of the world, of the universe, of ourselves, of everything, that it's so arrogant to think that we can even achieve anything close to perfection. Therefore, why even strive for it? You're just setting yourself up for failure. Might as well not set yourself up for failure, and if you fail, then you learn. But, you know, if you're already setting yourself up for failure, you're inevitably going to fail. You know what I mean?
Good point.
Because you're trying to strive for something that is unattainable. In my opinion.
See? This episode proves that your past doesn't define your ceiling. If you're watching this and you feel stuck, this is your sign. Bet on yourself even when it's uncomfortable. I'm your host, Lionheart, and this is The Raw Lens.